Hello there everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay. My name is Sabiq Sabry and my UOW number is 192194995. So let me start off by explaining what the problem domain is. So most people affected with autism and alexithymia find it hard to figure out emotions when speaking or texting someone. And not just these affected individuals. In general, most people cannot understand emotion behind certain messages and whatnot. So the aim of this research project is to devise a method by having a system that can analyze a person's behavior, which would be extremely beneficial to individuals with autism and alexithymia. Furthermore, it may also help law enforcement people with a more in-depth understanding of an individual's behavioral patterns, which is becoming more increasingly important in today's world where crimes are committed via text messages. And to start off, let me explain what the code does. And later on in this demonstration, I'll be running a test to show you the results of it so far. I'll be presenting it to you via my GitHub repo. As you can see, it is my GitHub repo and no one else's. So I'll be presenting it to you via my GitHub repo because it's much more easier and to weave and explain things. And later on, I'll be moving on to Google Colab, which is this. I'll be moving on to Google Colab and showing you a test run of how everything works. And to start off, let me go here. I'll be using a package called Zone, which was developed back in 2019. Like basically what Zone does is it analyzes social data, and so I'll be importing the helper file from the Zone package, which was I tweaked it a little bit and I imported it. And what this file is going to do is it's going to be preparing the data accordingly as to how we want it when we import the WhatsApp data, and the general file which will help us in basic analyzing of the data provided, and the TF-IDF file, which as the name says, it is basically importing the TF-IDF algorithm, which will help us to retrieve information from the given data and rank them in accordance. Then the emoji file. Basically, the emoji file is the same as importing the emoji library, and this will help us to analyze the number of emojis used by each person. And then the topic file, which will be used for topic modeling and summarization. So basically what topic modeling is unsupervised machine learning algorithm for discovering topics in a collection of documents, and in this case it's the WhatsApp chat. And finally the word cloud file, which will help us into building cloud words and presenting it to the user so that they can have a clear understanding of the most common words used between the user and between the two users basically. And since the Zone package that is used in this project is pretty old, I had to install old versions of libraries, but it kinda still works altogether, so there is no issue in it. So let me proceed. And now we'll be importing. Basically, we'll be preparing the chat data. So how we'll be preparing chat data is by importing the WhatsApp chat, which is basically done by exporting your chat on WhatsApp and getting a text file. And then using the helper file, we sort out the data, and as you can see, it's sorted out into 5 columns: message raw, user, message clean, message only text, and date. And the name and the variable name itself the column name itself can tell you what it is. And as you can see, it is divided into 5 columns here: message raw, user, message clean, message only text, and date. Okay, and over here, initially my idea was to assign the users different names to preserve their anonymity, but I'm having a small issue with it, but I hope to resolve this issue by the official FYP submission date. But for now, let's just proceed with the actual names. And as you can see, the 2 users, the actual names have been imported here. And here we are going to, let's just go here. Now that the data has been pre-processed, it's possible to create some initial visualizations based on the frequency of messages. To plot the message frequency on a weekly basis, we call the function plot messages, and using on this is all on the general Python file which has been imported using Zone. And as you can see here, the two users had texted intensively during the start of 2022, and as a result I did ask my colleague as to why there was more texting on the start of 2022. And as you can see here, the user was going through some major personal issues. She was heartbroken and she was in depressed mood because her mom had COVID, and hence why the increase in the spike here. And here you can see the basic daily activity, basically the active days of each user. And in case of the user Jubada, she was active on Saturday, and as well as user Hafsa, she was also active mostly on Saturday. And then you can see an hourly activity rate of each user, which basically says which times were they most texting on. I mean, what are like most of the times they were texting on. And over here you can see a calendar view of the number of days both the users have been in contact with. So proceeding further, here we can see the response time. The average response time in minutes for Hafsa was 49 minutes after each message, and for Jubada it was 34 minutes after each message. And the number of initiated messages, we can also calculate the number of initiated messages, and for Hafsa it was 64 times, and for Jubada it was 49 times in this example. Okay, now to find out the unique words spoken by each user, we are going to use the TF-IDF algorithm to retrieve the information from the given data and rank them in accordance. Okay, so let's proceed here. Yeah, as you can see in the three formulas, version A, version B, and version C, the third one, which is version C, was chosen. This takes into account the TF-IDF scores of each person in the chat, meaning this would generally work for group chats as well, but for now it is not being infused in the model. But later on I will be working on group chats and be presenting it during the F5P, and I hope it works by then. Yeah, so proceeding further, hold up. Yeah, proceeding further. Now we can use those words generated using the TF-IDF algorithm and generate them into plots. The words here, basically the words here, and generate them into plots. I've used clip art images to preserve the user's anonymity, but as you can see the word, okay, let me just scroll down here. As you can see, the word Alhamdulillah was used most commonly for the user Jubada, and the word Yoa was used most for the user Hafsa. So proceeding further, and now we move on to emoji analysis of the chat. Here, as you can see, we prepare the data by having a variable called emoji to hold all the emojis in the message, and another variable to count the emojis in the chat, and a list to store all the emojis in a list format. Additionally, we call a dictionary called counts to hold the number of each emoji used by the user, and another dictionary called unique emoji to have a score of each emoji used by the two users. And then, okay, scrolling down, and then we use the same TF-IDF algorithm used earlier to figure out the most common words used. We use the same thing here to figure out the most commonly used emojis by each user, and then we plot them once again. Okay, you can see, okay, let's just review this, and you can see the most commonly used emoji for Jubada was the crying emoji, and the heart emoji, and the laughing emoji. And for Hafsa, it's the same thing, but you can see Jubada has been using the crying emoji 735 times during the time span of the chat. And we can plot those in yeah, so we can plot them in a chart as well, in a bar chart. But please note that the matplot library used here has a small issue in displaying some of the emojis, but I hope to fix this issue in due time. But if I cannot fix this issue, I have to check with the matplot library used, or go ahead with a different type of plotting method and plot these graphs. Okay, let me just scroll on. As you can see, this is for the user Jubada and this is for the user Hapsa, and you can see the most commonly used emojis for each user. And moving on, you can see, we come to the topic modeling section, and here, like I mentioned previously, topic modeling is basically an unsupervised machine learning algorithm for discovering topics in the given data. In this case, it's the WhatsApp data. So there are numerous ways in which this is possible, but I use the most common ones used in NLP, which are LDA, latent Dirichlet allocation, and NMF, which is non-negative matrix factorization. So I've used both of them here, and as you can see, these are the most commonly used topics spoken by each user in the two different ways of checking topic modeling. And using the LDA method, as you can see, these are the topics spoken by Jubada and these are the topics spoken by Hapsa. And using the NMF model, you can see these are the topics spoken most by Jubada and these are the topics spoken most by Hapsa. And that comes to the end of my prototype not demonstration, I haven't demonstrated it yet, but that comes to the end of what I've done so far. But there's quite a bit more on what I need to accomplish, which is checking the tone of messages between the two users using sentiment analysis. And this is basically taking the score, the polarity score, and checking the positivity of the messages, and which has not been done yet, but I'll be attempting to do this and submitting it by the end of, basically before the FYP submission, the final FYP submission. And I have to do the word cloud as well. As you can see, we imported, let me scroll up, as you can see here, we imported both sentiment analysis algorithm and the word cloud, this thing as well, but I'll be attempting to do these two later on and submitting it before the FYP, on the FYP submission date, final FYP submission date. And yeah, and now let me show you a simple run through of the code via Google Colab. And for demonstration purposes, I have already run the entire code, but I'll be giving you guys a small preview of how everything works right now. And that's it. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll be doing two or three other things. I'll be sorting out the issues that I faced while explaining as to what the issues are. I'll be doing those issues, I'll be sorting out those issues, and I'll be also adding sentiment analysis to check the tone of messages between the two users, and also the word cloud, so that the user can see which words were more commonly used by each user. And I hope to finish them by the official submission date of the FYP. So far that's what I've done. Hope you understood. Hope you can understand everything. Hope you understood whatever I told, whatever I mentioned. And yeah, see you on the F5 see you on the Viva, I guess. Yeah, see you on the Viva. Thank you for listening. Bye.